Going to call the regular City Council meeting of June 3rd, 2014 to order. Would you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, then we'll hold it till last. Roll call.
Mayor Middleton?
Here.
Council President Henderson?
Here.
Councilor Grant?
Here.
Councilor Folsom?
Here.
Councilor Butterfield?
Here.
Councilor Langer?
Here.
Councilor Clark?
Here.
Thank you.
The consent calendar, we have approval of May 6, 2014 City Council meeting minutes, approval of May 20th, 2014 City Council meeting minutes, Resolution 2014-031, authorizing the city manager to sign an intergovernmental agreement for Washington County Community Development Block Grant Program for the years 2015 through 2017, a resolution reappointing David Shearman to the Parks and Rec Board, Resolution 2014-33, reappointing Mary Reed to the Parks and Rec Board, Resolution 2014-034, appointing Dave Sorensen to the Parks and Rec Board, Resolution 2014-035, appointing Eric Evans to the Parks and Recreation Board.
I'll move consent.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Presentations. We're going to skip over the first one for now. And I need to find out, is Nicholas Christensen in the audience? No. Okay, we're going to move on to the Maid Marian and the chaperone, Christine Mulkey. Would you please come forward?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Sherwood City Council members, those in the audience tonight, and Sherwood citizens watching at home. I'm Christine Mulkey, chaperone for the Sherwood Robin Hood Festival's Maid Marian Court. And I'm pleased to come before you tonight to present to you the Robin Hood Festival 2014 Maid Marian Court. The fine young women in this court are very proud to have become this year's ambassadors of the city of Sherwood and of our community's festival. I would like to begin the court's presentation with our Maid Marian and her senior court, Jessica Bertolato. This year's 2014 Maid Marian, she's a junior at Sherwood High School where she's involved in youth and government and is a member of the golf team. Outside of school, she participates in 4-H where she sews, has cooking competitions, fashion reviews, and interior design projects. She is an accomplished seamstress and enjoys making many of her own clothes. She volunteers at the Chamber of Commerce, participates in her church youth group, and works as a delivery driver at her mother's flower shop in Old Town Sherwood. Jessie's favorite pastime is going to the beach. Her future plans are to attend college at Eastern Oregon University and study nursing. Whitney Greger is actually at her choir concert tonight, so she can't be with us, but I'm going to go ahead and read her biography. She's an 8th grader at Laurel Ridge Middle School. She's been singing in choir since 5th grade. She also enjoys teaching piano lessons. Is in NJHS and has been a Girl Scout for 9 years. She enjoys volunteering with younger kids and Girl Scouts and at church. This past fall, Whitney organized a walk-a-thon and raised $1,000 to help pay medical bills for a friend who had heart surgery. Through this effort, she completed her Silver Award. Whitney has been a cheerleader in Sherwood Youth Cheer for 5 years and aspires to be a Sherwood High School cheerleader. Whitney would like to be a veterinarian one day. I'll move on to Lauren Piper. Lauren Piper is an 8th grader at Sherwood Middle School. Many talented interests include piano, singing with the voices of the performing arts, NGHS, short story writing, languages, science, volunteering with her Girl Scout troop, and cooking. Lauren often surprises her family with her amazing kitchen skills. She specializes in foods from around the world, including Thailand and France. Lauren has a high interest in different cultures and aspires to learn as many languages as she can. Today, Spanish and Italian, tomorrow, Russian and Japanese. Lauren Piper. Madeline McCord is an 8th grader at Laurel Ridge Middle School, where she is a historian for National Junior Honor Society, plays bass clarinet for a dance band, and plays tenor saxophone for jazz band. Madeline loves animals and has a tortoise, 2 cats, and a team full of fish. She volunteers at the local cat shelter Outside of school, she loves ballet, playing piano, spending time with her husband, and ice skating with friends. She was on the Mayberry Court in 2010 and remembers looking up to the senior court. She wanted to come back this year to be a good role model for the junior court members. Jessica volunteered at church teaching Sunday school, playing piano, and singing. 2 years ago, she started teaching piano lessons too. Jessica loves animals and hopes to become a marine biologist. Jessica, come on. Complementing the senior court is our adorable senior court. Kendall Lee is a second grader at Edie Ridge Elementary, whose favorite subjects include reading and skiing. She is a lover of art, music, and writing. You will often catch her making up her own songs or writing stories in a notebook. She attends Taekwondo, where she is currently an orange belt and has goals to go all the way to the black belt. When she's relaxing at home, she loves to help care for her many animals, which include goats, ducks, chickens, cats, and dogs. Kendall Lee. Delaney Long was born in Albuquerque, New Mexico, in a hospital on Route 66, but has loved living in Sherwood for the last few years. Delaney's favorite things to do are going to the beach, belly dancing, and playing with her brother Max and her friends. Last summer, she visited family in Michigan and won third place in the longest ponytail contest in Armada Fair. She's really looking forward to this summer because the Michigan family is visiting her this year. She can't wait to show them all her favorite places and things to do. Delaney Long. Tiffany Meisinger is a second grader at Hopkins. She loves animals and has a dog and 4 cats. She enjoys dancing, singing, drawing, and art. She's danced at Sherwood Dance Academy since she was 2 and performed in the Showstoppers. She loves going to the beach with her family and playing outside with her friends. She's following in the footsteps of her grandma, who was actually the very first Mayberrian in Robin Hood Festival, and her mom, who was a Mayberrian in 1981. She aspires to be a teacher when she grows up. Tiffany Meisinger. Sophia Halsey is a fifth grader at Edie Ridge. She loves swimming, cheerleading, ice skating, and playing piano. She saw Mayberry Court in 2011 and loved it. Sophia is quite the comedian and loves nothing better than to make you laugh. She also loves spending time with friends, family, and pets. Being around Robin Hood actually runs through her veins because one of her ancestors rode with the actual Robin Hood. She has been so positively impacted by the teachers in her life that she would also like to be a teacher when she grows up. Sophia Halsey. Last but not least, Julia Kahukula is a second grader at Middleton Elementary. She has a passion for life and a positive attitude. She's involved in her church activities, including serving in different areas and attending the midweek children's program. Julia enjoys soccer, playing the piano, participating in her school chess club, and dancing hula, something she's done since she was 3 years old. Through each activity, Julia shows her aloha spirit while treasuring the friendships that she makes. Julia Kahukula.
Before you sit down, the council's going to come down and congratulate you all, and I've got certificates for each one of you. So I'm going to try and guess who's who on here. I remember some of you. Jessica Berlato. All the way in the back. You were the first one I had on there. Well, thank you all, and we really appreciate it. It's going to be a fun Robin Hood Festival. We'll all see you there. Thank you.
I'd like to now turn it over to Sandy Wallace, who is the archery chair.
I'd like to thank on behalf of the Festival Association, Christina, who is our Secretary Chair, and our court. We're excited because they will represent us at the festival this summer. They also go to other parades, and I think they were at the community fair last weekend. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Sandy Wallace. I've lived in Sherwood since 1968. I started volunteering with the Robin Hood Festival in 1971.
Wow.
And I've been archery chair since 1975. So, that's my life. Each of you should have a letter, and I'd just like to thank you, Mayor, and the City Council for letting me talk to you this evening. What I'm wanting to do is inform you that we are having two couples that are going to come from Nottingham this year. They're archers, and they're going to come and take part in our archery match. And so, on behalf of the city, I'm asking if we could give them an official welcome at the knighting ceremony, which is on Friday evening, the 18th. And in addition to that, they are also being knighted. So back in 2006, Mayor, at that time, we had a father and son that came from Nottingham. And they were presented with a letter of welcome and a city mug and a pin. So I'm just requesting officially if that could happen.
Yes, it will.
That'd be great. So that could be in conjunction, with their night. What else? Oh, I wanted to welcome you, if you would like, anyone here, to come and join our archery match, which will be on Saturday the 19th, Sunday the 20th. It's unique, it's the only one in the world, and so it would be nice if you could attend. I know Bill usually does.
It goes like all day. Thank you, and we'll look into that, Sister City. I know we were talking about doing one. It's just we haven't been able to get to it yet, but I think it's something that we will look into. And you and I have talked about it, and I think that we'll get the information on it and work towards that goal. Since it's going to be every year, probably forever. So.
Bill, my husband was born in Manchester, England, so we made a couple of trips over and stayed with the archers. And the reason I'm asking for this official welcome is that the red carpet was laid out for us. The Lord Mayor of Nottingham, Sheriff of Nottingham, council chambers that look like our state building, a big reception at the Rolls-Royce grounds. So, anyway, I want the people of Sherwood to be proud of the fact that we have this competition. And I don't know how many people are actually aware. It's not a huge spectator sport, but combined it was fun.
It's amazing those bows they have. I can't believe them. And it runs all day, both days, correct?
Opening ceremonies may
No. It's at Edie Ridge, correct? Is it going to be at Edie Ridge again this year? Yeah. It's much better there.
Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good evening. I'll leave these things there.
Oh. I'll give it to her later. Okay, I believe one more person came in here representing the Sherwood Robin Hood Festival. Whitney? You can tell us all about yourself.
I'm Whitney. I am I'm the main Mary cook this year. Actually just came to a choir concert, so but I play the piano, I'm in Girl Scouts, I just earned my silver award, I'm in National Honor Society, too many things to list. I love Sherwood and I love getting to be a part of all of this.
Well, thank you. I have a certificate for you. Let me bring it down. Okay. The fire chief's here now, I assume. Did he get here? Yeah. Would you please come forward? As many of you know, now we have a new fire chief for our office over here. Our past one retired. And this one's going to be just as great. I met him last weekend. Super guy. You're all going to love him. So now he's going to explain himself.
Point of clarification, Captain.
Well, we call him chief out here.
Thank you for the opportunity to address the council. Is that better? Yeah. Okay, thank you. So let me again just say thank you for the opportunity, and to also begin by introducing my crew. We have Steve, Keith, and Alejo. And back there we also have Chief Leonard Damian. And you guys know Stefan, I believe, as well, right? So, a little bit about me is I began my career as a volunteer firefighter in McMinnville, where I still live today. I worked for McMinnville Fire for about 3.5 years before being hired at Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue in 2001. In October of last year, I was promoted to the position of captain, and I've recently been assigned to the Sherwood Fire Station. It's not very often that a newly promoted captain gets a pick of which stations they'd like to work at, but I had that unique opportunity, and Sherwood was top of my list as a place I wanted to be. Okay, for a long time, I actually did a temporary assignment at 33s last summer as lieutenant on B shift, and got to know the crews, got to know the community a little bit in those brief 3 months I was there. And when I was given the opportunity to come here as captain, I jumped at it. So I'm very happy to be here. I'm married. My wife is a teacher at McMinnville. I have 2 kids, 2 daughters, aged 12 and 15. Okay. I want to also begin by thanking everybody for the involvement in our recent community services fair. I see many people that were there. It was my first time being at that event, but it was well attended. And I don't have a number, but I think we're estimates of over 800 people attended. It was a beautiful day, a lot of people having a good time. And I want to thank all the folks that participated and attended. And it was a really good introduction for me to the community of Sherwood. What I saw were a lot of really nice people, a lot of great participation, enthusiasm, and the kids were having a great time. And so looking forward to that annual event. I also want to thank the people of Sherwood for recently supporting in passing our local option levy replacement. I'm sure most of you know we were able to pass that with over 66% support. And I was somewhat involved with the advocacy campaign through my union leadership position. And I know for a fact that the folks in Sherwood did a fantastic job supporting the levy through yard signs and other, if you were, obviously you saw a lot of yard signs. No community had more yard signs than did the community of Sherwood. Also, I'd like to thank the mayor for publicly endorsing the levy, because as all the mayors did in the communities that we serve, but I can't tell you what that means, to me personally, and obviously what a statement of support that is from you. So happy and humbled by the support of the community. I just want to thank you for that. Okay. So one of the things I've been hearing a little bit about is, Captain Dan, right? 15 years he worked at the Sherwood station, and I was honored to be at his retirement gathering at the station a few months ago. And what I was reminded about him when I was at his retirement party was really how beloved he was by his crews and by the community. And I've been hearing about big shoes to fill, right? And I'm okay with that. I understand that. I appreciate it. And I agree. Big shoes to fill. But because, again, beloved by his community, beloved by his crews, active in community, with community involvement, these are things that I'll be striving for. But I don't know that anyone can do it like Dan did. But a place to start is right here, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to meet with you this evening. And I want to invite everybody here, anybody in the room at any time, to come visit us at the fire station. I think you know where it is. If the fire engine is there, it means that we are there, and you are welcome anytime. Okay?
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Great.
So I had the privilege of meeting Captain Smith on Saturday, and I think that the timing was ideal with the Community Services Fair and you taking over the station. I know that I probably introduced you to 4 or 5 people that day.
Yes.
But I thought the timing was great in that you were there and people got an opportunity to see you. Kids got an opportunity to see you and meet you. And so I think the timing of that was excellent.
It was.
And I want to thank TVFNR. That's a extremely loved event in our town. Obviously, it's geared towards, younger kids. I had my youngest with me, but we've a little bit outgrown that event. But there were so many kids there who just loved that event. And just want to thank you for continuing that in our community and bringing in. And Public Works obviously coordinates with that, and Lifelight. So just want to thank you
Lifelight, Sherwood Police were there, and many, many others. It was a great, well-attended, great event.
So
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
Go ahead.
Captain, I just want to let
Yes,
you
sir.
know that I dropped in the station a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Guys didn't have a clue what was going on. I walked in the back door, caught them in the middle of cooking and cleaning. But it was awesome that they sat down with me, and we went on and we had a good 45-minute conversation about what they do, what I do as a counselor, and
Yeah.
my involvement in the community. And they were excited about the new captain coming in.
Yeah.
So.
And let me just say another shout out for the crews at my station too. Lieutenant Watson and Lieutenant Herzog both have helped me tremendously during transition, and I know many of you know Rob Watson, both at the station and in the community. When I talk about those shoes to fill for Captain Dan, it's Rob Watson and people like him that are going to help me get to that because of his active role in the community on and off duty, really. And him and his crew have been especially helpful during this transition, so I appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you. Do you have anybody that can cook like Rudy?
No, no, he was the
Okay.
best.
Just ask him.
Yeah. Again, big shoes to fill. We're trying. All right?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and switch these two around because I think one may take a little longer than the other. I'm going to do the Tree City USA recognition. Is Ruth Williams here? Ah. She's the Vice President of Oregon Community Trees.
Thank you for this opportunity to come and speak to you today about trees. My name is Ruth Williams. I'm the Vice President of Oregon Community Trees, and I'm actually here today on behalf of both our local statewide council and the National Arbor Day Foundation to remind the city of Sherwood that you have again this year, for 9 years in a row, received the Tree City USA designation, which is not something that every city can attain. It requires that you take care of street trees, that you acknowledge street trees, and that you celebrate Arbor Day. And that is something you've been doing for 9 years. In addition, this year, you got an additional growth award, and that's given by the Arbor Day Foundation for cities that have gone above and beyond what the average city would do for their trees. And that growth award was for the tree inventory that got conducted this year of over 700 trees. But the growth award also takes into consideration the ongoing work that you're doing every year that are not growth components, such as planting over 3,000 trees that your Public Works Department did as well. And so today is a great time to just remember that you're really doing a great job in the tree department to try to keep up that good work. And remember that a city like Sherwood certainly needs a forest, albeit an urban forest. So in honor of that, I'd like to present to you today your Arbor Day flag. And it's a great flag to fly any tree-related holiday, especially Oregon Arbor Week, which is in April.
Thank you. Craig, you'll be in charge of that flag, correct? That is really a nice flag.
And if a tree falls in your city, you can fly it at half-mast.
Oh. Craig, that's another one for you. No, we're real proud of our Public Works, the way they do our trees out there. And I believe Julia, she's involved in that because planning and Public Works work hand in hand on that.
Do you want me to say something, or you look like you're about to say
No,
something?
go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, absolutely, we would not have this award if it weren't for Public Works and all the work that they do. I just want to give a shout out to Kirsten, who is the compiler and the coordinator of all the data, and is the one that actually puts the paperwork together to get the award, and organizes the Arbor Day celebration every year. And so I just wanted to give her a shout out as well, as all of Public Works and all the work they do for trees.
Thank you. Any comments from council? All right, then we're going to move now on to another presentation, Sherwood Main Street presentation. And for anybody who wants to speak, please fill out a form in the back if you have something you want to bring up and you're not on the agenda.
So Lee, just a reminder, since you're going to have a group presentation, you need to kind of eat the microphone for each of you.
And I think Lee's in charge of this. Would you like to start, Lee?
I'd be glad to. Can you hear me okay? I'm Lee Weislogel. I'm president of Sherwood Main Street, and I'm familiar with a lot of you, having sat in a number of other seats. But I'd like to say that we are very pleased to be able to come and talk and share and update you folks on what's happened, what is happening, and what's about to happen. And first, let me introduce the people that are at the table here. Jennifer Fagerstrom on the left, Greg Jacott, and Bill Montgomery. The four of us comprise the executive committee of Sherwood Main Street, and it's a pleasure to work with these folks and their dedication to Old Town. We have other people on the board, and I just wanted to kind of give you an overview in the sense of we have 5 Old Town businesses that are on the board. We have 5 people that are not having Old Town businesses, but are committed and involved because they care about Old Town, even though they do not have a business. People like Alan Bauer, Clancy's, Charles Harbig, Railroad Street Antiques, Allison, whose daughter was Maid Marian. It's all arranged, obviously. Teresa Stride at the bank, Stacy Blanton, Capstone Partners in Cannery Row, and Jim Haynes, who is in the one of the back rows behind us. but we're just so warmed and delighted to work with people that really care about the heart of Sherwood, and you folks know it well as Old Town. Just a couple of items to give you a brief overview, and then I want to turn it over to the folks here. I think you know that the Main Street program was established in Sherwood by the city in '08. We've advanced to the transforming level, which is the next to the top level in the program, and there are some 91 cities in Oregon that are in this program. And the handouts that I hope will be coming to you, if they haven't come already, will give you kind of an overview, and you don't have to take as many notes as you might otherwise do, trying to save you a little bit of ink and graphite, you know. Anyway, we've got a solid organization. We are going to be talking about Old Town maps and calendar, and that might even be on your screen because it's on what I'm looking at. Anyway, we're looking at parking items, marketing, partnering. We do partnering with, I'll just use the Historical Society as an example, but we partner with Robin Hood and Cruisin' and Chamber and Arts and all kinds of organization. Everybody that has a tie and a connection to Old Town, we want to partner with and support them and ask for their support in return. We're also looking at retail and the community center. That's really an important thing, as you all well know. Cannery Square development and Old Town Economic Development Plan. Some of you may know, and it hasn't been that long ago, I used to be chair of SERPAC, and that was the time the council gave to SERPAC economic development responsibilities. We hired consultants, we did an economic development study, and I think we can build on that as Old Town does its work in economic development to try to plug in and work with you folks on the work you folks do overall for economic development. We've had a lot of successes. Just want to touch on a few. As you know, we facilitated Old Town construction. We've been delighted and excited to be part of Sweet Story, 503 Uncorked, Demimo's Escape to Yoga, Cannery Row, Railroad Street Antiques, and the one that's really the most heartwarming for me is seeing Halloween in Old Town. 30 businesses, but most of all, 200 some kids dressed and being at all kinds of height levels, and it just warms you something awesome. And for me, that's the heart and picture I carry around as big in Old Town. And with that, I'd like to turn it over to Jennifer. Can you get this over to her?
We'll make it work. Hi, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity to come. I'm going to scoot that back just a little bit and to be able to present to you. I'm Jennifer Fagerstrom, and I am a resident in Sherwood. And I'll tell a story, and Matt's gonna remember this. Some of you all may also as well. When I was growing up in Sherwood, Albertsons was a llama farm, and Napa was Thriftway. So how many of you remember that? That's the history. Okay, see, I knew you would. I've been gone for a long time, been back in Sherwood about 3 years, and been so impressed with what has happened in this community over that time. It's been a long time. And the thing that inspired me to get engaged with Sherwood Main Street is because in my experience living in a lot of different places around the country, I've seen what can really happen in communities in terms of livability, community development, economic development, and really as a homeowner, I'm excited about that because as that development grows and old towns are revitalized, we really do see an impact across the community, and that's what inspired me to get involved. And in addition, I mean, it's all guys up here. You gotta do something about that. So Sherwood Main Street's purpose is really to bring businesses and community organizations together and to create a sustainable and growing Old Town. That's what we're all about, and I think you're probably familiar with that. And over the last many months, we've been focusing on developing relationships, supporting Old Town community, the city, and others throughout. And we've been having a lot of fun in the process, and we think we have really good things to come. So we've been supporting programs and issues where we found the greatest need. Lee and this whole crew and the board as a whole did a great job partnering with the businesses and the city during the whole streetscape rework, which was a great success story, we felt like. But what we've been doing is we've done a little bit of strategic thinking about where are we really going to be spending our time and what are we going to be focusing on, and we've narrowed it down to 3 key areas. And those are ways to drive traffic into Old Town. And I'm not talking about automobile traffic. I sat out there this evening and watched. There's a lot of automobile traffic coming through town. But what we're looking for is foot traffic, tourism, general visitors to restaurants, the theater, which is soon to be, other kinds of activities in Old Town. We feel like that's a big priority for us. Supporting community events and activities. So Halloween was already mentioned, holiday, cruising, Robin Hood Festival, really inspiring and engaging volunteers to support those activities. That we feel is a big priority for us. And then the last one is supporting Old Town economic development. So those 3, driving traffic into Old Town, supporting community events and activities, and supporting Old Town economic development. So we see some great opportunities in each of these areas, and I'm going to go quick, but also some challenges that we'll share. Opportunities being created by the new housing being added. Thank you to Canry Row. New businesses, the completed plaza, so on and so forth. And we're already seeing it. I don't know how many of you were in Old Town on Saturday, but it is a buzz with activity now that the Saturday market's open and some new businesses in Old Town. And we also see an opportunity in the near future. I don't know if you saw last week's Portland Business Journal. There was quite a spread about Portland's plan to complete the trail projects from the Forest Park down to Tualatin Valley Refuge and what their timeline is. And we're thinking about that as well when we do our portion, what opportunity that's going to create for new tourism, a lot of bicycle traffic, got to figure out the streets, and a lot of activity there. So it's going to be fantastic. And we want to be part of that. We really feel like it's a huge opportunity to begin to help and continue to build that. We're committed to collaborate with the city, with the chamber, with community businesses and organizations to really help push things forward in a positive way. And we realize it's not all about us, that this is something we have to do together, and we're going to be looking for input as we're setting those goals and objectives and action steps. So that's where we'll be inviting you to participate, and we want to thank Chrisanna and Matt particularly for your participation on our board as liaisons with us. It's been super great. So, having said all of those great opportunities, we do have some challenges. And a big piece of the challenge is around bandwidth and funding. The most successful Main Street programs and the best practices are that the Main Street programs will have a paid, full, or part-time director. We don't have the funding to do that at this time. That's our long-term aspiration, and that will limit our ability to do everything that we'd like to do in the time frame by which we'd like to do it. So we want to be realistic about that. We think that needs to be a priority. If you look at some of the most successful Main Streets, Oregon City, McMinnville, you can really see the benefits of having that person. So that is a longer-term goal. And it's going to be something that's doubly important around economic development, in our opinion, particularly because the city at this point in time does not have a dedicated economic development person on the staff. I know that's a part of Tom's job, but it's just a piece of that. The other challenge is limited volunteer support. We are a small group, but mighty, and but it is something that we want to continue to build those volunteer corps. So in spite of those challenges, we are excited about the opportunities, and we're really appreciative of the chance to come and chat with you, actually really talk at you, but you'll get the chance to ask some questions too. And I want to just thank you all, our board, and all of the volunteers that work with us, because they're the ones that really make things happen. And so now I'm going to, I think Bill's going to speak.
Thank you again also for me. I'm Bill Montgomery, a retired banker. I did a lot of small business lending in my banking days and some international banking. And my wife and I, Marianne, have both been very involved with the Sherwood Chamber for about 5 years. We're both ambassadors there. I've been with Sherwood Main Street about 2 years now as a vice president. I live in Tigard, but I spend a lot of time down here, as most of you know. I'm also volunteering for the Tigard Downtown Association, a similar entity, and I'm going by bus with them tomorrow to Oregon City for a tour of their Main Street rebuild program. As Jennifer said, it's clear to us that one of our main goals is to get more people into Old Town, and not just the people who live outside of Sherwood, but how can we get people who already live here and drive right past us to stop here? What was clear to us was that not having a map of Old Town was a huge issue. So you see the front side of the map. The way we went about that, I took that on as my challenge. And so what you see is the final draft of a map that actually has about 60 businesses. Probably a lot of people didn't know we had that many businesses in Old Town, but we do. We distributed that map last month and the historical walking tour map. And I'm sorry I don't have one of the slides of that, but there's some examples of it back here. And I think you have copies of the historical map. We asked for help from the businesses in getting them printed. We didn't ask for any dollar amount, but we have gotten a few donations and a lot of gratitude. The business owners really like these maps. Our plan is to, once these get printed, a final copy, we're going to distribute them to places like Washington County Visitors Bureau, the Wildlife Refuge, wineries, businesses, City Hall, library, apartments in Sherwood, wherever we think it's going to help. And any of you have any ideas on that, I'd be glad to hear from you. Then the other one is the historical walking tour map and kind of how that started. You may recall our first Sherwood Main Street office started out as a desk way in the back of the Chamber of Commerce. And a year ago, we downsized and moved our files upstairs in the Moorback House, the museum, and we have our board meetings there. So spending time in the museum, I became very aware of the amazing history of Old Town. And it seemed that a lot of people didn't know about that history or even that there is a museum in Sherwood. So I created this historical walking tour map. It's not fancy and pretty, but it's informative. And the written part on the back is excerpted from documents that are right in the museum. It has 12 sites on it, all originally built from 1890 to 1922, and it shows what businesses on those sites now. If you can flip that to the other side, they can see the businesses that are on that. Anyway, back to the walking tour. Last month we had a busload of 21 folks here from Eugene. They had contacted the chamber and wanted to do a visit here. So Nancy referred it to Lee, and we recruited Clyde List, of course, to lead the tour. We gave each of them a map, toured Old Town by bus, took them to the Wildlife Refuge, and they got to see the mother eagle feeding the eaglet. Back to Old Town, we squeezed into Fat Milo's for a great lunch, then museum, then Sweet Story. And they loved the day, and Clyde had a marvelous time being the tour guide. So this is the kind of thing we want to do more of, these kind of tours. We need to get both maps printed up in some quantity before cruising starts by a commercial printer. So we really haven't had any cost yet except out of pocket for paper and ink and so forth. We're planning to start off with 1,000 of the business map and maybe 300 of the historical map. Last thing I'll talk about is the task force approach. The Main Street program, the Oregon Main Street program, requires that we have 4 committees: organization, design, promotion, and economic restructuring. And since we have such a small group, the committee approach really didn't work very well. So though we are still part of Oregon Main Street, we've taken on an approach that is more task-oriented than committee-oriented. So rather than trying to decide what job belongs to which one of the 4 committees we still have, we just take on the function as a group. And the businesses in Old Town Sherwood map is an example of a task force of 4 people. I got the idea started and researched the business and created the layout, and then Stacy Blanton, who was on our board from Capstone Partners, did the graphics and created this great map. Teresa Stride, who was a board member, manager of U.S. Bank, had 120 copies of the first draft printed at her regional office. I printed the cover letters, Lee signed the letters, I delivered them, Greg picks up the checks at the post office. So this one project entails 3 of the basic 4 committees: promotion, design, and economic structuring. And this is a labor of love. Thanks to Stacy doing the graphics, I'm really excited about this map. The historical map would be great, but for a different reason. And I think the businesses in Old Town are really going to benefit from this. There's some names on there. If you can see them, you probably don't even know they're here, but they are. So that's it. Thank you.
And thank you, council members and city staff and Mr. Mayor. My name is Greg Jacott. I'm the treasurer. I've been the treasurer of Sherwood Main Street for about 4 years. I own a bookkeeping company. I live outside of the city, but I have clients downtown and in Sherwood. And my kids have gone K through 12 through Sherwood, and we just love it. And I certainly don't mind offering any assistance I can to help bring people and businesses into downtown Sherwood. So that's why I do this. Earlier this year, Lee and Bill and I attended a Oregon Main Street presentation in Dayton. And there were, as you heard Lee say earlier, there are 91 cities in Oregon that have Main Street programs. And there were maybe 20 to 25 of them represented at this presentation. And it was a successful Main Street program from New Mexico. Thank you, Lee. And what was really neat about this is that we got to meet other Main Street people, and we had so much in common. A lot of them started out with just not knowing what to do, needed to be trained, and had to work with their chamber, understand all those issues, just like we were. So we felt really good about that. And then the successful ones, they had a fantastic presentation. And so one of the tools that we decided to use, as Bill was saying, we went more task-oriented. And I developed this. It was pretty easy, though. It's on Excel. This is a calendar that we use. And we use this tool, and this allows us to see really well many things. One of them is the relationships that we have. Let me figure this out again, sorry. Oh, there we go. Okay, so on this board you can see in yellow is the Historical Society and their events during the year, the Robin Hood Festival, and the Foundation of the Arts down there. And then throughout the calendar we have, and there's copies of these calendars and our maps on the table over there if the people behind us would like to see those. But what's really neat about this, it shows all the upcoming events. We plug in the events from the Gazette or from the Archer or wherever we see them. But what's neat is that when we have our monthly meetings, these events and the upcoming schedule is discussed among the business owners, the building owners, the city, the construction people, event coordinators, and we even have the police officers at our meetings occasionally. And so we use this spreadsheet as a tool to see what's coming up and then to plan around those events. So we had the Trashapalooza. So sometimes we have new events, and we can put these on the calendar and reuse this calendar next year and just move the dates around. So anyway, this has been a great tool for us in our monthly meetings. Like I said, we get to discuss all the upcoming events. And one of the neat things is that now the Robin Hood Festival is there, the Performing Arts, the Historical Society, they're all there. We can help each other. We can help each other promote our events. Everybody, it's a forum where you can find out what's going on and discuss issues that arise. So we found this to be very helpful, and that's why I'm showing you this today. And then down below on this, we have, we're keeping track. I'm on the organizational committee, and so that's why we're doing this. We're keeping track of our tasks that we need to, we have completed, and then we have a task list also of things that are coming up during the quarter that we would like to accomplish. So anyway, that's our calendar. And I wanted to mention that this year at the Christmas tree lighting, I was just very moved that the Robin Hood Festival, they were handing out free hot dogs and coffee. You know, we had the tree lighting, there was singing in the air, you know, people greeting each other. We had businesses open, people, we had the bazaar going on. Several businesses had special things going on. And so I walked around a little bit and I realized that there was a need for somebody to be out there telling people what was going on and helping them out. So we got this idea, and I'm going to show you these vests. No, this is going to be great. So we have these vests created, and we're going to be helping a lot in cruising this year. And you're going to see these vests down for the Altered Arts Festival this Saturday. But, many cities around the country have ambassadors. And so we just have vests called Main Street Ambassadors. So we'll be able to stand out there, and any volunteer, you can wear a vest, and hopefully we'll have radios in case there's, first aid issues or something like that. But we can direct people to the businesses that are open and the neat things that are going on. And so anyway, with the Downtown Ambassador vest, I think we're going to be a big help down there, and you'll see us. So with that said, I can turn it back over to Lee.
I thank you for your patience and your attention. We're delighted to do what we're doing for Old Town. We want to partner with you and be a part of things that the city does, as well as all the organizations that have been mentioned and more. And we're pleased to have been able to be here, and we thank you for your attention and glad to respond to any questions or comments that you folks might have.
Well, I just want to say that this group is the warmest, kindest group that I've ever had the pleasure of working with. They are ready at a moment's notice to help, and I just appreciate everything that you do for the Main Street downtown organization. It's amazing, and I just want to thank you very much on behalf of the city, because I think that you are making huge inroads in supporting business and supporting community together.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead.
I remember early on, a lot of times the question we heard was, well, what's Main Street going to do for us? What are the deliverables? Something tangible that they can give us. And now I think you can see the fruits of those labors with the coordination of the businesses, the calendar, the map, the ambassador vests, and all the networking at all the chamber events and other events that are on the calendar downtown, helping different businesses and events coordinate themselves so that they're not overlapped. There's a lot of that going on, and perhaps a lot of the community might not see that effort's happening, but it is, and this is the group that's helping do that. And it's just nice to see after all these years that there's so much traction now, and I can just imagine how it's going to evolve with the community center opening this year and the amount of momentum that you've got going on now. It's just really great to see, and thanks for all the energy and the time. And there's been a lot of commitment by particularly you four right there that has probably gone mostly unnoticed by many, and so it's just really neat to see the success that Main Street Group has had over the last few years. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a couple things. You got Flicks on the Bricks, right? We're voting now to see what movies are going to be down there. So that's the movies they do outside in the summertime. So you might want to make sure that gets on there. And the railroad, we're still, Commissioner Roy Rogers and our transportation group is still working on the railroad to see if we could ever come up with something for the use of those tracks. And we have a small amount of money, I believe he said, to do studies on that. He's toying with a commuter rail, but we don't know. We've talked at other things about maybe some kind of wine train or things like that, where we have some rail track problems. But we're still going to meet with the railroad and see what their future plans are, and maybe we can work with them. And
Great.
you guys might want to be involved in that.
You bet.
Since
We'd
it
like
goes
to.
right through the city.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Linda.
Okay. So I've been volunteering at the chamber office as part of the core committee for cruising. And when you handed out this map, I could have used this map today because people are naturally drawn to the chamber. You can see the awning out there, and so we've had a number of people come in. A couple came in today who was visiting their a couple came in visiting their children, and they're from New York, and they wanted to go to Sweet Story and Clancy's. And we have the new chamber map, but it's a very, broad view. And if I could have handed them this, I probably could have saved their time and my time by 10%. Obviously, finding Clancy's is easy. So I think this is really great. And it's practical. And that's what's important, right? It doesn't have to be fancy or double-sided glossy. It just needs to be a useful tool. And I'm sure the chamber will welcome, when you finish your draft, having this done today. And this couple from New York had nothing but, compliments for the charm of Old Town. And I think this will be a great resource for the visitor center and help people finding businesses in town when they're new to town.
Thank you. And I just wanted to mention that one of our dreams is to have our website and newsletter, our media communications up and running functionally, so that when anybody wants to Google Sherwood or Old Town or something like that, they will get that map and our calendar of events and things like that. So right now, working with just volunteers, it's hard to get somebody dedicated to keep the website up and keep our newsletters from our monthly meetings are very juicy, and they should be on that website as well. So as we get more volunteers who have the time to do that or the talent or money to pay an intern or a student or something to keep that up for us, that's one of our next steps that we really need to do, is get our media up to date so that we're on the Google searches and things like that. So anyway, we would put that map on our website when that happens.
As I mentioned, we're looking at 1,000 maps at least. We're going to use a lot of them just in cruising. And so that and historical map, we need about $1,000, and that's not very much. But we have about a third of that already, and that's just from a few businesses that have donated. So we feel really good about getting those maps out before cruising in volume.
You want to talk? Go ahead.
Tom's not here tonight because he wasn't feeling well, but I think we have resources at the end of the fiscal year to cover those costs. So I'm sure you've probably talked to Tom about that, but if you're that close and that's what we're talking about and you want to get this done, I'm sure the city can step up and help that. So.
That'd be great. Thank you.
And I just wanted to say one more thing, which is that Lee used to serve on the council, and he has been a familiar face in Main Street ever since Main Street went from essentially, a funded position to volunteer. And I know it takes a lot of time away from his family and maybe his pursuits, as I'm sure it does for all of you. But I'd like to thank Lee for being an ongoing leader and believing in Main Street and not necessarily giving up, even though you don't always have the resources that you need. So thank you all for your service, and I just wanted to acknowledge Lee and thank him. It's always a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lee, what was it called before Main Street Boots and before that? And how,
Friends of Old Town
It's had
Foot.
so many names while you've been there.
Yeah, it goes back.
Mayor.
It's easier now.
We're
I,
sticking with
hang
that.
on just a
before you
minute.
leave,
Another
I just
comment.
wanted to say I was driving through Old Town multiple times doing some foundation work on Saturday. I could not believe the traffic. It was amazing. And it's very exciting that the business that moved, Sweet Story, that space did not stay empty for long. And they seem to be a very good companion business to Demimo's, which is already there. But congratulations, your work is paying off. We see it. I can't believe the magic that's happening. People are still there on Saturday afternoon.
One more point, speaking of Mimos, I just talked to him a couple of days ago. He met with his landlord. That space next to him, the old chamber offices, which has the signs up there, in 2 weeks he's opening up.
Yes.
Oh,
Talked to them
fantastic.
today. They're pumped.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
I only have one comment form tonight, and that is from Renee Browse and Ben Bowl for the Rotary.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. It's nice to be here tonight. Renee Browse and Ben Bowl from Sherwood Oregon. And we are here tonight representing the Rotary Club of Sherwood and to thank you. As you may know, annually we host a bare root tree sale, and it's held at the Albertsons parking lot. This was year 15, I do believe. And it's the fundraiser that allows us to contribute and give back to the community at large. So through Boy Scouts, scholarships at the high school, YMCA, and numerous other groups that we actually support through that fundraiser. And also a community in La Plata, Colombia that is benefiting from those dollars as well. It's also how we were able to help fund the Murdoch Park restoration. We could not do it without the city's support. So thank you for allowing us the use of the permit to use Albertson's parking lot to host the tree sale. And thank you for allowing us to store our wonderful looking trailer, our luxury office. It's actually not so good looking, but for the past 15 years, we've stored it at the Public Works Department. So thank you for that. Because during the other 48 weeks of the year, we don't have any use for it. So it was very handy. And we now also want to thank Councilor Langer for the ability to store the luxury office suite at his property at Sentinel Storage. Again, we couldn't do any of this without the support of the city, and we do truly thank you.
Thank you.
Ben, do you want to mention your world-famous filbert orchard? Oh, chestnut. Well, no wonder. No, he raises, what do you have? How many acres of chestnuts out there? 15 years, so. And I think you were there, weren't you there? We started that thing way back when. Were you one of the first ones at the, yeah. He was the Methodist minister who started it, yeah. Worked out well, thank you. We'll move on to new business. Resolution 2014-036, authorizing the city manager to enter into a contract with Reichart Excavation, Inc. to replace storm system on Lincoln Street between Willamette and Division. Craig.
Thank you. Just so you know, this is part of the pavement management program. This is being funded by our stormwater fees. Prior to any road project, we go in and televise the video, the storm and sanitary system, which we found failure, which we knew there was failure on Lincoln Street before we even TV'd it. But the lower part of Lincoln Street is got a lot of collapse in it, and also we have elevation issues if we ever want to pave that road in the upper part of Lincoln Street. So we're asking for this contract to be awarded to Reichart for $87,986.47. We're also asking for 20% contingency because we feel that which is a little higher than we normally ask for, but we know we're going to run into some issues. We have to be digging really close to some retaining walls, as well as right next to the power lines, and we know we've got spring issues on Lincoln Street. So that's what we're asking for approval tonight so we can get started. And how this process will work is we'll have a schedule tomorrow, if approved today, for Reichart to do the work. Notices will go out to the property owners on Lincoln Street. The contractor will start the work probably here within the next few weeks, and then once we're done, we'll clean up, and then right now we're in design for pavement management, and you should see something probably the first part of August for approval for a pavement contract.
Any questions from council? Do I have a motion?
I'll move we adopt Resolution 2014-036.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Next on the new business is ordinance 2014-010, amending the Sherwood Municipal Code, Chapter 12-08, sidewalks, construction, and repair.
So really, the ordinance is from 1977. We worked with the legal office on this. Some of the main changes, we actually put in the red lines in here, what it was before. Mm-hmm. Really, we're updating it to stuff that goes on currently and not 1977. Some of those changes are benefit to the homeowner as well as the city, and that is it could be up to 8 weeks before we notify them by the time we bring something to council for approval. We're asking in the new ordinance to be able to work right with the property owner, the city staff, so we don't have to bring 122 items or 140 items to you for approval, then wait 30 days. So it's 6 to 8 weeks once we find out that there's a sidewalk issue before we can really talk to the property owner about it and to go down this road. The other change in here that's probably bigger is, right now, we're required to notice in the newspaper, which those bills been running between $400 and $1,000 every time we do it. This would save that cost too. We would be certified mailing the first original notice for signature as we do now. And then if we can't get a hold of the property owners, we would actually be using a door hanger method. There is a little bit of interest in this new ordinance if the homeowner doesn't pay the bill. Doesn't do anything with our sidewalk program that we have going on. It just makes us not have to come to council to work with the property owner and wait 6 to 8 weeks. That's the biggest change in there.
I believe we have to have a public hearing on this also.
Mayor, it's not required. It's not a land use, so the council can accept comment if you'd like.
Does anybody want to come forward and speak on this? Then we'll close the public hearing. Do I have any questions from council on this? Go ahead.
So Craig, when you say work with the homeowner, that means setting up an alternative payment plan or?
Well, I think we'd work with the homeowner where we come here first, and then we get approval off of a list of 120 or whatever number we bring. We bring it big bulk, so we don't have to come every 2 weeks. But we would go through the same processes we're using now, but it's pretty much bypassing coming to the council, getting approval on 120 of them. It's going to go out, certified mail to the property owner. That kicks it off. That lets them know that they have an issue with their sidewalk. We also have them call, and that's when we explain the program with them in that letter, as well as when they call in the office to set up the program.
So you're still rolling it out in phases?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're just not coming back to us every time you initiate a new phase?
If you approve this, what you'll see is if we need to come back and for your consideration for a lien, if it goes that far.
Okay.
Before we lien somebody's property.
Okay.
And that's at your consideration if you want to do that.
Thank you for the input you gave me to give to the Homeowners Association in Woodhaven. It really helps. I mean, it'd be nice, we should give that to every HOA if they're going into that section. It really answers a lot of questions. So I thought it was a great deal you did.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I just want to also have a clarification for the public. So you are also still offering a incremental payment plan through the Public Works. Can you just talk about that a little bit so the public understands?
Yeah, so we have a sidewalk fee, and we also offer a program to a property owner in certain areas. The city's divided up in 4 areas. We come in, we've done an inspection. We go in each budget year. We have about $50,000 to work with in our budget. There's money coming back in, and they can actually pay up to 12 months to have their sidewalk repairs. It's a 50-50 split with the property owner. And to be honest with you, we're getting calls from other cities that are looking to go the same direction we did. So, or trying to figure out how they're going to get there. So it's been pretty successful, actually.
I think it's been great. And Portland's running into that now where they didn't notify anybody and they just started fixing them. That caused a problem. So, Zoe, do you have something to read on this?
If the council is ready for a vote, I'll have to read, caption, and adopt.
Unless I have any more questions. Go ahead.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to read, caption, and adopt ordinance 2014-010.
I'll second.
Ordinance
I think Bill got first.
Ordinance 2014-010, amending Sherwood Municipal Code, Chapter 12.08, sidewalks, construction, and repairs. Counselor Clark?
Aye.
Counselor Langer?
Aye.
Counselor Butterfield?
Aye.
Counselor Folsom?
Aye.
Counselor Grant?
Aye.
Council President Henderson?
Aye.
Mayor Middleton?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you, Craig. Our next is ordinance 2014-011, amending section 13.24 of the Sherwood Municipal Code to authorize extending the duration of reimbursement district.
Thank you,
Julia?
Mayor and Council.
More chairs here.
Sorry. Okay,
Sorry.
sorry. Just the proposed ordinance in front of you amends section 13.24. Currently, we have provisions for establishing reimbursement districts and how they are developed and allocated. But there is no process to extend that. The council received a request from the school district, which is the only reimbursement district that we currently have, requesting the council to consider amending this section of the code to allow a process to consider an extension, and that's basically what the proposed language does. It doesn't, if you approve this ordinance this evening, you are not giving the reimbursement district an extension. You are opening the door for the school district to then, if they decide between now and 2018, when the reimbursement district will expire, you're opening the door for them to have the ability to come in and request the council to extend that. The reason for that, or their rationale for that, is basically the economy, and it's slowed significantly. And this would, it would allow the council to consider other situations in the future. It would allow you to, it outlines a process for you to consider and some criteria for you to consider. And also importantly, it outlines the notice procedures to make sure that we are properly notifying the property owners that had originally been noticed with the reimbursement district that this is being considered.
Would you like to come up from the school board, or
Sue?
you just want to sit here and watch it go? Okay. Do I have any questions from council?
So when do you think this will come back?
It's really up to the school district. I
Oh,
don't know if they have any specific plans. Basically, it will be effective 30 days after adoption, once adopted, so they could come in anytime between then and theoretically 2018. I would hope that they would come in, if they're planning on doing it, that they would come in a little bit sooner because there's process involved.
Right.
So I don't know.
I'd like to make a motion
Read by title. Go ahead.
that we adopt ordinance 2014-011.
Second.
Ordinance 2014-011, amending section 13.24 of the Sherwood Municipal Code to authorize extending the duration of a reimbursement district. Counselor Clark?
Aye.
Counselor Langer?
Aye.
Counselor Butterfield?
Aye.
Counselor Folsom?
Aye.
Counselor Grant?
Aye.
Council President Henderson?
Aye.
Mayor Middleton?
Aye.
Thank you.
We're next going to council announcements, and we'll start then. Bill?
Sure,
I went the other way once.
that's fine. Really don't have much. Parks and Rec didn't meet this month. We did fill 4 positions on the board, though, so
Good.
that's a good thing. I'm the liaison with the school board, and I'm glad that this motion passed, so that's all I have.
Counselor Folsom?
My boards and commissions have been rather busy this month, but I will make one comment about Councilor Butterfield's Parks Board. Make sure that you are barking for your park.
Yes.
2 times a day, you can vote online, the Bark for Your Park information, where we're competing nationally to get up to $100,000 for a dog park. It's found on the city website, and you can vote on Facebook, and then on a website. We are about 1,100 votes now.
Yeah, we actually did a calculation today. We're in 21st place
Oh, we need
nationally.
more. We have
and
to be in the top
We need to get to the
15.
top 15. We have 3 days left, so you need to get your rally caps on and get your friends and family and everyone voting. So we're within striking distance to get to that top 15, but we need a big effort in the next 2 or 3 days. So.
Yeah, I saw a note today that we needed something like 250 votes a day, but we're behind. So we can do that. We can do that. So that will really help because the Parks Board has already figured out a place where we're putting the dog park up at Snyder Park. And I just have to take that moment to thank Public Works. I walk up there at least 3 times a day with my dog. And other than the dog bags being out occasionally in one or more areas, because there's a lot of dogs that walk up there, it is spectacular. And I watch them all the time. They were out there working today and yesterday, and your crew is doing an amazing job. It's a huge park, and I just love it. And thank you so much. And twice the water fountain was broken this winter, and I called, and within the next time I walked, somebody was there. So thank you so much for all the work that you do. So, council, the Senior Center is having a special Father's Day event on Friday, June 13th. They are hosting an Abraham Lincoln performer, and they invited specifically the mayor and council to come that day because we might be pulled up into the performance. And I don't know if we have to notice that publicly since it's an invitation, but lunch will start at 11:30. 12:30 will be the actual performance. This performer is pretty famous, and something has been written about him recently in one of the local papers. The volunteer I spoke with today thought it was a Gazette. But if you can make it, I know many of you have obligations during the day, but I guarantee that will be a very fun event. And I've been assured that the centerpieces will not be flowers. They will be more like fishing gear or barbecue utensils. We have the best volunteers at the Sherwood Marjorie Stewart Center. Right now, the curtains in the front window are ties in honor of fathers. So it's a spectacular place, fun event. A big shout out goes to the Sherwood High School Band, Wind Ensemble, who was awarded second place this year at the 5A state competition. The Sherwood High School Choir competed at state for the second consecutive year, but before that, no one remembers any decade where they had competed at state, so they are doing very well. They have over 120 kids forecast next year for the choir alone. The Mixolydians, their a cappella group, who I think many of you have heard at the Chamber and other events, they competed at the sing-off competition and the majority of them had to return to perform in Fiddler that night. They have been assured they might have won in a very strong way, so they have been invited to sing this Saturday at the Rose Festival. So congratulations to them. Planning Commission, we met Tuesday night and passed the TSP, which will be coming our way. And I just wanted to, again, thank the planning commissioners publicly. The quantity of information that they have to read and digest is unbelievable, and I have so much respect for them, and especially for their chair. She has a mind like I've never seen before. It's amazing what she can catch, and I really appreciate her greatly, as well as staff. Thank you for all you do. It is really remarkable. And if you haven't had a chance to go to a planning commission meeting, you can watch them online. However, I saw one the other day as I was flipping, and it was from April 2013. Really? That was a little odd. Okay, so the Cultural Arts Commission has a lot going on right now. We have a brand new chair, Vicki Poppin. Her resume is too long to describe here, but she has been involved in the regional and state level nonprofit arts organizations for 30 years. She is a fantastic advocate for the arts, and now she lives right here in Old Town Sherwood and is our chair for the Cultural Arts Commission. And I can guarantee you that she will do some great things in her time of service with us. We are, I will say that we're supporting Shelley Lamb, has also come back on board after a 2-year break from the Cultural Arts Commission, and this week she has worked with the Sherwood Foundation for the Arts to organize the Altered Arts Festival that will be in Veterans Park starting at 10 a.m. and going till 4 p.m. They have 30 vendors this year, and it is a very unique and fun event, and entertainment, lots of fun and crafts for the kids. The other thing that the Cultural Arts Commission is partnering on this summer is we are partnering with the SFA on the Missoula Children's Theater, which the first one is Blackbeard the Pirate. It's June 23rd through 28th. The second one is Pinocchio, July 7th through 12th. Registration can be found at sherwoodarts.org, and all registrations are open. And if you hear my voice on TV or here and your child wants to participate, I encourage you to sign up early because it generally fills up. And those are absolutely very fun events. As the mayor alluded to, we are actually doing a survey about the movies it was Pix on the Plaza last year, our first time in Cannery Plaza, but in the survey we also asked people if they'd rather go back to Stella Olson and call it Movies on the Park. And the last I heard, the vote was split. So it's interesting. I preferred no mosquitoes. But apparently people like the ambiance. It's freezing down there at night, but that was just that's my opinion. I'm sorry. I'm not speaking for council. But please take the survey online at the city. The other thing that is happening is the movies this year, because if you buy 4, you get a discount on the others to the point that the fourth one is paid for. So we will be hosting them 4 nights this summer instead of 3. And it looks like it'll be starting the 3rd of August or 4th, whatever that first Saturday is, I am guessing. And that we do have a sponsor. Very excited about the Gardner team becoming the movie sponsor for the summer. And in addition, there has been an Italian nonprofit group that is forming that has approached us, and they hosted the March Festival at the Rebecca Lodge. That was fabulous, really received. So on August 15th, there's a very special Italian festival called the Ferragosto Festival. I'm sure I slaughtered that. And they are already working hard at work, partnering with the Sherwood Cultural Arts Commission on that. They have gotten a Fiat donated for the day so that people can come and sit on it. But it will be August 15th at the Cannery Plaza, 4 to 7 p.m. There will be an olive oil demonstration. Our local author, Tanya Hamilton, will be doing book signing for her new Italian children's book. And there will be lots of vendors, food vendors, and entertainment, lots more fun, just happening right down here in Old Town.
That's a Friday.
Yeah, that's a Friday. And so right afterwards, you can go to the movie. We were thinking it'd be right there, but we don't know because the community may want to move it back to Stellos, and we don't know for sure. So anyhow, on a personal note, I had the opportunity with Council President Henderson to meet with Representative Davis this morning and just kind of go over things that are happening in Salem. And I just want to put this out there to the public. It really does matter if you email your legislators in Salem. They really care about what you have to say. One of the issues that I talked to him about specifically was the mechanism for school funding. He feels like there's a real opportunity right now with the economy improving and perhaps some things tightening up, but they need to hear our concerns. And if that's a concern for you, please, I encourage you to contact your state legislator. He said just a quick phone call or an email really does help change things on the state level. And that was very impressive to me. Because I do know that we also, the mayor has made a point to read every email that's ever come to him. And I know that we all try to do that. But this is an opportunity because there's been a lot taken away from the schools over the last 10 to 15 years. And this is a chance to maybe make a shift that can start improving that situation. What? Oh, yeah. John this morning said he rarely actually hears from anyone.
On education.
Especially on education, which seems to be a talking point for a lot of people in our community. We have fantastic schools, but they are the epitome of doing a lot with little. And I'd like to see that improve. I've been here almost 20 years, and I'm sorry that it has gone the way it has. But I'm grateful for a community that's rallied around our schools and raised hundreds of thousands of dollars to support programs that otherwise couldn't happen. But maybe now's the time to take advantage of an improving economy. So that's my report. Sorry, it was long.
It's been a busy month. Wait for others to go.
Councilor Grant? Thank you. Councilor Langer?
Yeah, coming up, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, the 14th of June, is the annual cruising event. It'll start bright and early, probably before most people wake up, about the time the sky is finally starting to get a little bit light. Streets will be shut down, there'll be cars, and so the big annual festival with all kinds of treats and goodies. So make sure you get that on your calendar. And the YMCA is gearing up for their big annual maintenance projects, like working on the pool and flooring and painting and that sort of thing. So that's coming up later in the summer. So there'll be quite a bit of investment in the property like there is every year over the last several years. And so just expect to see that at your YMCA coming this summer, like usual.
Okay.
Councilor Clark?
So Councilor Folsom talked a little bit about band. Tomorrow afternoon, the Sherwood Middle School Band is going to be performing with their dance class in the Junior Rose Festival Parade. So if anyone would like to come out and support the Sherwood Middle School Band and dance team, come on out. It should be a beautiful day. I wanted to also talk about helmets. We don't have a helmet program here in Sherwood, but there is one close by. And so I wanted to tell the community that coming up this Saturday, June 7th, at the Tualatin Triathlon, the Legacy Health Center is going to be sponsoring a program for helmets. We've taken our kids for years to the Legacy Health program, and the ER physicians fit the kids, and they'll also fit the adults. When the kids were very small, we would go and have the entire family fitted just to kind of show the kids, hey, this is how it's done, and it's a wonderful program, and they do it at cost. I think that the year that we did it, I think it was like $5 for a helmet, and they have them in all different sizes and colors, and they even have skateboard helmets. So, and in fact, the year that we went, they also had snowboard helmets. So they're fantastic. The ER physicians are amazing, and so I highly recommend that if you need a helmet for the summer to keep those kids safe and also adults, go out to the Legacy and at the triathlon and grab one. That's 8 to noon. There's a car wash fundraiser at the Kohl's parking lot for the wildlife camp on the same day, this Saturday, and the summer reading program kickoff for our Sherwood Library is coming up. And so get those kids reading for the summer. It's a great program. The Wildcat Haven is having a dog walk to support the Wildcat Haven. It's at Stella Olson Park on June 28th from 11 to 3. It's family and pet friendly. So you can sign up online at the Wildcat Haven and bring your dog down. They'll have all kinds of different booths, and this is a wonderful way to support a local no-kill rescue for large cat animals. I think that's all I have.
Council President Henderson?
One of the benefits of going later is that my list shrunk since other folks had the same events that I did. I have a couple of announcements. Pam North, who is our library manager, she is retiring this month, and she has been with our library for many, many years, and she'll be retiring on June 23rd. Does anybody have the start time? I think it's 4 or 3:30. I didn't write that down. So if you've enjoyed working with Pam and her staff and would like to come and wish her well on her retirement, then I believe we'll be in this room on June 23rd for Pam North's retirement. I have, was anybody from staff going to mention the Brownfield grant that we received for $200,000?
No, go ahead. If there's specifics, Julia can fill in the gaps.
Do you want to let those that are here and...
Well, let's brag about her first, and then she can talk about it.
Pardon?
Good job. Let's brag about her. Good job, Julia.
Yes, excellent job.
Amazing work.
Yes. So, a bit of good news, and wanted to let people know since it didn't seem to be coming up anywhere.
Yes, thank you. The city received notice from EPA last week that we were awarded or invited to move to the next step, but I understand it's more of a formality for the next step, for a $200,000 site assessment grant through the EPA. And you know, I was thinking $200,000. We've gotten $200,000 grants from Metro and things like that, but this was really competitive, and so it's one of those things that's quite exciting. And as I said to the council, and I'll say publicly, this was certainly not. I sort of led it, yes, but there was a lot of support, primarily from a consultant that helped me put everything together. Tom and Craig and Julie all provided a lot of support to put this together. And this is actually the second year that we applied. We applied last year and got some really great comments back that allowed us to rewrite the application so it was successful. And what it will allow us to do is assess more thoroughly. DEQ's done a lot of work on the tannery piece of property that is considered an orphan. It's foreclosed upon by Washington County, and they have it. There's been a lot of some assessments on a large part of it, but not a lot of assessments on the smaller, more buildable piece. And it will allow us to do some assessments and really look at the feasibility of the city acquiring it and putting it into reuse. We can't acquire it. Well, it's not recommended that we just acquire it from the county without understanding what the the liabilities are.
Yes.
If we were to take it, then we're liable and we have the burden of dealing with the cleanup and the contamination. So we want to explore that more thoroughly, but with the intent of getting that site cleaned up and reused. And so that's quite exciting.
Yeah, one of the conversations we had when Assistant City Manager Tom Bessemer and I had the opportunity to represent Sherwood when we went to DC last year was with Anita Hansen from the EPA, who really encouraged us to redirect, the efforts we had with our grant. And then we, I believe we had support from the local Portland EPA office as well. So we spent about, I don't know, $3,500 or less to go back to DC, and in return got, some very valuable information from members of staff in Washington on a grant that is six figures. So, and that of course couldn't have happened without obviously staff and staying at it. But yeah, it's a very competitive process. So a lot of kudos go to staff for putting that together, and looking forward to finally someday something happening with that site once we figure out what it's really going to take to clean it up. The other question I have is for staff. I was wondering, with the beautiful new sidewalks that we have downtown and a lot of businesses opening up and providing outdoor seating, do we have any coordination with the special events permit process when people want to, put up sort of seasonal seating, but they leave outside sort of for 3 or 4 months at a time? Do we have any requirement to make sure that we leave sidewalks open or make that available as far as noticing or, so that was my question. And you can get back to me, but it came up in another meeting I was at, and I thought I'd at least put it out there and find out if it's something we need to partner with the businesses and find out, what they would like to do, and try to make it, a combined effort that benefits everybody.
The short answer is our code is really silent on that at this point. We've interpreted our code that it is allowed. There's a few businesses on Railroad Street that have been doing it. They've asked us about permission. We don't have a sidewalk cafe permit like some cities do.
Right.
We are actually talking about that, maybe putting some regulations around it, not necessarily going down the permit route, but something a little bit more tangible that's a win-win for the businesses and for the city. And that's exactly what we're doing. And we're looking to some other cities. And we put all that money into widening the sidewalk on Railroad Street. The businesses are taking advantage of that, but you also have some issues about liability and pedestrian access and other things. So that's been a topic for discussion actually in the last week, because the businesses have approached us and they want permission to be able to use the sidewalk.
Sure.
So we don't have a process yet, but we're starting that conversation, and we'll work with the businesses. So it's a win-win for both. This is not an attempt to regulate or stop what's going on, but just to make sure there's a balance between pedestrian access and things. So it can be controlled, because if it isn't controlled, it can spread into something maybe we don't want. So it's a great question, and that's a long answer, but we're working on it right now.
Yeah, you said it was a short answer, but it was actually a long answer. And then lastly, the Charter Review Committee obviously continues to meet. Obviously, we had a very successful vote with all measures passing. Approximately 85% of the residents who voted and 15% against. I truly wish we'd have larger voter turnout. We have about a 23%, 24% voter turnout, and I'm hoping that will improve with any amendments that the committee may recommend to council for the November ballot. But we continue to meet on Thursdays. Sylvia, if you can remind me when the next date is.
Our next meeting is actually Wednesday, the 18th.
Oh, that's right. We had to move it. So Wednesday, the 18th, here in council chambers at 6:30. Thank you, Mayor.
I just have a few things. I want to thank Robin for the tickets for the BPA. I got in trouble. I didn't take money, so I had to order online the piano music.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, for Michael?
Yeah, it was outstanding. It really was. The whole thing, the music at first was just fantastic. I can't wait till we can start doing it over here. I did the Run for the Love of Schools this week. I Sherwood had a pretty good turnout. We really did. So it was a lot of fun. It was in Wilsonville. It was probably the best organized run I've ever been in, and it was really, really good. And last but not least, I'll be in the Rose Parade. Charlie Hales has invited me to go down with some mayors to walk in it. It's 4 miles walk, so it'll be fun. So I'll probably miss the Altered Arts, but I'm sure we'll have council representation down there.
I'll be there.
Thank you very much, and that's it. And I want to thank, we're still going to council, don't worry about that. I mean, to the city manager report, but I want to thank everybody for this. The council meeting went really well tonight, and I want to thank everybody. Go ahead.
Mayor and council, I just have one item. Actually, I had a list that has dwindled as well after the council comments. The only thing I want to remind the folks in the room and at home is in November, the mayor's seat, and there are 3 council seats up for election. Tomorrow is the first day to file for those seats. That's process is starting already. And I want to remind folks, if they have any questions at all about elections and process and procedures and how to file, the primary person to contact is this young lady next to me, the elections officer. Our city recorder is also the elections officer. She's here to help answer those questions. If there are questions more appropriate for the county election staff or the state, she can, help you get to those right people. But tomorrow's the first day for filing, and it extends into late August. I don't have the exact date, but we'll have that on our website. So that's all, Mayor.
Any other staff comments?
We'll have a work session on July 1st.
We're working. We will have a work session on July 1st, and so that'll involve TSP and
Police advisory.
The police
I think we're going to
advisory
do the work session that we were going to have tonight that got rescheduled. We'll have on July 1st, which is the police advisory board when Chief Growth's back, and then we'll also do the TSP plan that night. So that'll be on July 1st.
We'll do it at 7. Is everybody okay with that? Just
Yeah.
a regular time?
Sure.
All right, with nothing else, meeting adjourned.